Dang, bro, I almost just knocked over my coffee on my carpet.
Take a seat. Reset.
At least it's in the closet.
All right. For all you new viewers out there, that's not what that means. It's not what you think it means.
I think it is. But anyways, welcome back to season 2 of the Catchin Up Podcast. I'm excited because I have a pretty interesting flavor of coffee to try today.
Yeah?
It's not seasonal, unfortunately. I'm very sorry that they didn't have any, bro. I asked. I was like, come on, you guys, But no, they didn't have any. So, yeah, I just had to go with a different kind of flavor, man.
Well, what did you go with?
So I went to Cognoscetti. That's the I think that's what. Oh no, I went to Underground Cafe. I forget. I get the locals switched up, but I went to Underground Cafe. Undergrind. Let me try this for a 10th time.
This is why we don't get any paid promotions, because you don't even know what you're talking about.
And they got the little Halloween sticker on it. So they got the Halloween stickers, but they don't have the seasonal coffees. I don't know what's going on there. But, so I got the I got the Lucky Charms. Ooh. So it comes with toasted marshmallow flavoring, vanilla, espresso, and then they gave me some Lucky Charm marshmallows to throw in there.
Okay.
So, a little something.
Man, that's pretty clutch. That sounds really good.
All right, well, while I mix this up, you can explain what you got.
All right, so I was going to originally go with, might be a weird choice compared to the fancy schmancy Cali drink that Tyler has, but I was going to go to Wawa because I've heard their pumpkin spice is really good, and Wawas aren't everywhere apparently, but I decided to make it a little more heartfelt, and so Tyler can live vicariously through me, I went to Tyler's favorite coffee spot, Foxtail, because by the time he can actually come back and try drink Foxtail again, it'll be out of season. So
he said they're gonna be closed down.
No, that'd be crazy. No, there's too many of them. But I went to Foxtail and I got the pumpkin spice latte, I think, or is it just coffee? I don't know. There's pumpkin spice latte, I believe.
Okay.
And nothing too fancy. It's just a pumpkin spice latte.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any cool added. They put I think cinnamon on top. Fancy schmancy. But other than that,
well, I mean, yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever been giving something to put into my coffee as well.
I mean, I went to this place called Achilles, I think, and they had this marshmallow roasted chai, and they didn't give me anything to put in it, but they oh no, it wasn't a marshmallow, it was a creme brulee chai. So then they made it a creme brulee crust.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was cool, but other than that, I've never gotten Lucky Charms or anything. Yeah, that's so interesting.
All right. Well, let's get into
Wait,
it.
question before you drink it. Do you think if you didn't get it to go, they would have put it in for you, or do you think they always put it on the side?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question because I don't, even if they don't even ask if you get it to go or not. So it would I think it would come in the plastic cup anyways.
Gotcha.
So I mean, most coffee shops nowadays don't really ask me that anymore. I think some of them still do, they'll do it in a glass, but not most.
Now
of
that
them.
you say that,
just put it in the cup.
I feel like that's true.
Right.
Anyways, cheers.
All right. Cheers to season 2.
Season 2.
Let me try and get this ASMR.
Why you always got a straw and I never do? Here, ASMR.
That's good. Yeah, see, we get different types. How do people do that all day, bro? That's crazy.
Bro.
But it is entertaining.
I don't know how people watch it all day, but kudos to the people that do it because you get in that bag, and I know that for sure.
This is great. I mean, it tastes like the rainbow marshmallows inside of an espresso. So I think it's pretty on point. Like, I don't know how much the actual, like, the marshmallows I put in are contributing, but, like, it doesn't just taste like marshmallow, like super vanilla. Like, you can taste the, I don't know, the dye flavoring or whatever it is. Like, you know how, like, Lucky Charms, the marshmallows,
Yeah, they got a
taste
specific
a little bit
flavor,
different. Yeah. It tastes like that, you know? So
Yeah.
it's very good. Their coffee
Drinks
though
half
tends
the
to be a
cup
bit,
just to get a taste.
their coffee tends to be a bit stronger than most in the sense of the flavor. Okay, now I gotta sip it and get some of the marshmallow.
Yeah, you gotta see if that affects the flavor.
Mm.
Oh
Okay.
gosh, are you okay? Need a towel?
Okay. But they gave me. Okay, here's the
Okay.
deal. So if they gave me a straw, like a boba straw, and they put like a bunch of those in there, so like kind of like with boba, you get boba with every sip. Like if I got like a couple marshmallows with every sip, it'd probably be like a 9.5 out of 10. Like that would take it up that notch. Especially because again, right? Like you're getting a Lucky Charms iced latte. Obviously,
You want Lucky Charms?
you want something sweet. Yeah, you want marshmallow. Like it's not something where you're like, oh, coffee, you know. No, like you want the sweetness. So yeah, if they did something like that, 9.5. But just as it is, it's good. I think I'd land it right at like an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
You
Okay.
It's good. It's flavorful, but the marshmallow, like the coffee flavor does overpower it a bit. And I wish there was just a bit more marshmallow flavoring in there. Again, because it is a Lucky Charms. So I expect a little bit more of that, but it's still very solid if you go there. I would try it.
Bro, I feel like the way you're describing it, it was a solid 8. I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. But so now the pumpkin spice latte from Foxtail. I'm gonna take another sip just to make sure that my judgment's correct.
All right.
All right. So we're grading on flavor of what it's called. So pumpkin spice. There's spice, not pumpkin. To be completely honest, like if you handed me this, I would never be like, "Oh, this is a pumpkin spice." So flop on the pumpkin, thumbs up on the spice. So we'll give that like a 1 point.
Interesting.
And then we grade on coffee, right? So usually, in like Tyler's case, right, you're getting the Lucky Charms coffee. You want the sweetness. This one, you got the pumpkin spice. You could want the sweetness, but you could also want the coffee, right? So you got to rate on both.
Right.
You don't get much pumpkin spice in this at all. So you think you'd get a lot of coffee. No. I also don't get a lot of coffee. I just get that aftertaste bitterness of coffee? Like how
Sure.
you'll be like, good coffee, and then there's like that little, like you can just taste like
Yeah.
the earthiness or like the grain or whatever, right, in the back.
Oh.
I only get that. Like I can't just be like, oh, this is like a good type of coffee. Like this is a good roast of coffee, you know? It really just kind of tastes like milk. Like
That's so crazy because I typically like the brew of but what did you get? Did you get a latte?
I think so. I'm trying to remember now.
So maybe it's different then because I think usually when I go
We
there,
get
I
the
get
cold
their
brew,
cold
yeah.
brew.
So I guess this just means next week I'm gonna have to get a pumpkin spice cold brew from Foxtail and really figure this out. But if this is the latte, which I'm pretty positive it is, bro, I'm giving this like a 4. Like I'll drink it, you know what I mean? But like look at this.
Yeah.
Look at your cup on our taste test. Look at that. I've drank about like my fingernail or like my first knuckle of my finger. Like that's it. Tyler's almost done with his drink and we're less than 10 minutes into the episode. You know what I'm saying?
We'll be like, yeah, what do we want to talk about today?
He's like, yeah. So honestly, sorry, Foxtail. I do love you guys, but I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say maybe when you go and do the cold brew, maybe tell them to add in like an extra pump of the pumpkin. 'Cause maybe there's just isn't.
But
a
here's the
strong-
thing. Then that's my coffee. You know what I mean? I'm making it.
Okay,
You know,
I get
I'm just
that.
like I'm
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
like Starbucks. Like we didn't adjust any of the Starbucks recipes. We just said,
Yeah,
"What did
you're right.
you think? What did you make?" And you were
True.
like, "Wow, this is really good. I'm going to put this on our menu nationwide."
Right.
Like that's what we were testing.
Okay.
But that will be fun later on in the
Fair
season
play.
whenever we're tired of drinking pumpkin spice and that stuff. Of who has like the best like creative, I don't know. We'll figure this out. But I'm excited for our coffee journey.
All right, cool. Well, that's our coffee review today. I think it's about time we can cue up that intro then.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show's about to start. Introducing Catchin Up Podcast.
Catching Up Podcast. If you're not caught up, you're catching up. I don't necessarily know what that means.
It's gonna be like a blind.
Okay, so I think, we finally just rang in October yesterday, and we have yet to talk about our Halloween Horror Nights experiences. So I think it's time.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah. So I mean, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go? Like, how do you? Want
I'm
this
gonna
to
go first
down?
just because I know Tyler's gonna go into a bunch of detail that like I'm not even gonna remember nor relate to. So how do you want to do this? Because I feel like if we go per house, it's gonna be really long.
No, and also we had some of the same houses, so I would just say either A, you could just do a quick review of each house and be like, this house was good, I liked it, I didn't like it, or you could just like name which one were your favorites and maybe what you thought they could have done better. I don't know.
Well, here's my
I
biggest
mean, it's
flaw.
up to you, bro.
Out of every year that I've ever done Halloween Horror Nights, I never remember the names of any house. So, let's do this. You can start. I'm gonna look up the houses that Orlando has.
Yeah, I had to do that before the episode.
Yeah, you should have given me a heads up, Bob.
Well, I wanted to catch you off guard.
Yeah,
I knew
just so you guys
forgot.
know, none of this is ever scripted because the whole point of this podcast is two best friends catching up with each other across the country. So we don't plan.
Dude, I got my teleprompter right here. What are you talking about?
LA budget, I forgot. My bad. I am in my closet.
All right. So, I was fortunate enough to be able to go to Halloween Horror Nights this year on their employee night in Hollywood Studios because my girlfriend works there. And actually, they get the employees there, they get in free for the employee night and they get to bring a friend. She brought her roommate, but fortunately, one of our other friends was able to get me in. He offered his guest ticket to me, which was very, very kind of him. So shout out to Brett. I appreciate that. It was a lot of fun. And okay, so employee night was awesome. First of all, the biggest thing I think, which was so cool, is that they did 50% off all snacks, drinks. It was crazy. They were handing out free water. And like, that's such a big thing for me because if anybody knows me, Gabe will know this. Like, I love to drink, not like alcohol, but like, just sodas, waters. Like, especially if I'm out, like, I'm just always thirsty. So, like, whenever I would go there, I would buy the cup to like refill and stuff like that. And, it just costs a lot of money to like that. And I always want to try the snacks and, you'd want to get some food. So, that was really cool of them to do. So shout out to Universal for that because that's such a kind gesture. Also, I thought the lines were still going to be fairly long because like there's a lot of employees at Universal and they have all of City Walk too. Everybody got to bring a friend. So I thought it was going to be super, super long lines still. No, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I didn't think it was going to be super long, but I thought they'd be like, 45 minutes, an hour, in comparison to like when you go on a regular night, they're like 2-3 hours, at least out here. But the lines, I think the most we waited was like 25, maybe 30 minutes, like for the most popular houses. But it was insane how like quick they were going by and how fast they were getting people through. It was really, really cool. They did a great job of conducting that. Now onto the houses. So, A Quiet Place Day 1. It was cool. The animatronics were like really well made, but there are way too many animatronics in there, and those just aren't really that scary because they can't pop out at you. So like, it was fun, but not really scary. So I wasn't a huge fan of it. The other one was the second one we did was Monstruos, The Nightmares of Latin America 2. It was great. That was a really, really fun one. Really good set design. It had some good jump scares in there. So that was a good follow-up to A Quiet Place because that one wasn't that scary. We then did the Insidious house because we wanted to knock that one out as it was probably the most popular one there. That one was really cool. I've been hearing things about like the Insidious house being like so scary that people had to like leave and they had to like call ambulances. And I don't know, maybe if some people just get super scared by those things, but like it wasn't that scary to me. Like there were certain parts of the one here where it was so dark we had to like feel along the walls to see where we were going. And my girlfriend was in front of me, protecting me. So I guess it wouldn't have been as scary for me because I didn't have to be the one leading. But that was a fun one, but it wasn't like as crazy scary as everybody says. It was scary. It was, they got me a few times, but, it wasn't anything crazy. Then we didn't do Ghostbusters because we just figured like that wouldn't be that scary. It'd be more of like, oh, really cool set design. And we were like, okay, let's circle back to that if we have time. But we didn't have time, so I didn't get to do that one. We then went downstairs and we did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which...
Hold on, I have one of my lights.
We then went downstairs and did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I really liked, but I'm a fan of slasher films, so like whenever they have like slasher IP in there, those are typically always my favorite houses just because it's like, the movie that I like, I'm now getting to like enter a house of it, right? So it was super scary. Leatherface is gross. They had like the nasty smells going through the house, which, are gross, but it enhances that, nature of the movie. And it was pretty scary. I enjoyed it. We then did, which was probably, I don't know if it was my favorite, but it definitely got me the most scared. It was Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, and it was very scary. There were a lot of jump scares that I did not expect. I think it had me on the ground at one point. Like, it was very, very scary, just in the sense of, like, the placement of the people they had scaring us, like, really on point. So that one was probably, like, my highest rated one, to be honest.
And then
we did Dead Exposure, Death Valley. That one was fun. I don't really remember much of it, so unfortunately, I guess it wasn't that memorable. But all of them were good. The only one that I didn't like, the only two I didn't like, and not that I didn't like them, it's just like they weren't like scary, was Quiet Place and then The Weekend House. The Weekend House is cool. Like, you can listen to The Weeknd, but I feel like that should have been a thing where they did it once and then that was it. Like, it's cool. Give him his moment. Let him do his thing. But, like, I don't know. It's not really, like, Halloween-esque to me. I know he does all these crazy characters and stuff, but I'm like, yeah, it's not really. I'd rather have some other slasher in there or, like, some other Universal monsters or something. Like, it doesn't really do it for me. But I mean, if people like it, I guess that's why they keep it around. But I wasn't that big on it. And then they had the tram tour, which was Blumhouse this year. That was really fun. It wasn't scary by any means, but like when you get off the tram and walk through the behind the scenes, they have scare actors and stuff. And they had you go through like there's this like set out here for those of you that haven't been to Universal Hollywood that they used for one of these movies that it was like a plane crash and they still leave it up. And so it's just like this huge space of just like, it looks like a plane crash. And they decorated it really well, had some good scare actors out there from Blumhouse. So that was really fun. And yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it. We did the late night with Chucky show that they only have here, I believe, in Hollywood, but it was fun. I mean, it was just a little talk show with an animatronic Chucky. It was fun. It was a good time. So yeah, I had a great experience. It was really nice not having to pay for a ticket, and it was really nice having half off snacks. So I had an amazing time, regardless of the houses I, didn't have the best time with. Overall, I thought it was a great experience, and yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Probably on a lesser busy night, because if I would have waited like 3 hours for some of these houses, I probably would have been more disappointed than I am only having to wait 15 minutes. You know what I mean? So definitely pick your night smart, but it's a fun time overall. Employee night wise, amazing. Oh, wait, one more thing. I'm sorry. I'm going to end on this. Forgot. Because they only have this here as well. The Purge Water Show. Dude,
Whoa, what is
you
that?
have to come out one year and see it. So there's a show at Universal Studios Hollywood. It's called Waterworld. It's based on like this movie from back in the day, and it's a water show. So during Halloween, they just started it last year, and they did it again this year. It's the Purge. So basically like where you guys would sit for when they used to have like the Bill and Ted show. I don't know what they have now, but it's kind of like that, but they have a whole water show. And these like purge guys are on jet skis, and they're like coming in and taking over the government who's allowing the purge. And dude, it's insane. It's like, it's such a good show. It's so much fun. It's so much action. There's so many good visuals. And they really did a great job with it this year. So if you're going to Universal Studios Hollywood, make sure you see that. That's probably like, do your houses, but also make sure you see that show. And I'm not like the biggest show guy. Like, I prefer houses over shows, but like that's a show you have to see if you're going there for sure. And with that, I will end off.
Well, you guys are gonna have to bear with me because I can't remember all these houses, but I have them all up here on my laptop, so I'm gonna have to keep pausing and looking at each house. But kudos to you. I'm jealous. I had to pay a lot of money for my pass because my one friend who does have an employee pass and can go on an employee night, they didn't ask me to go. So I had to pay for my own ticket. That being said, I can go a lot more than Tyler, so I didn't do like all the houses in one night. I'm sure I've missed two of these houses. But we'll see.
Probably. It's all right.
We'll see. I have a list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk about whatever you have.
Also, I didn't have half off all snacks. Like, that's crazy. That's clutch.
Bro, I didn't
That's
expect
clutch.
that at all. That was insane.
That's so clutch.
Insane. You didn't even have to like, because we thought like, oh, we're gonna have to show our badge. You didn't even have to show a badge, whatever. Like, it was just for anybody who was there. It's crazy.
That's so cool. So kudos to you. What a great. That definitely just enhanced your experience. And then no long lines. Like, I'm jealous.
Yeah. I feel like if you're in that mindset, you're just having a much, like, even if you come out of a house like, oh, that wasn't that good, like, you don't even care,
Just making sure I have like the right. Okay, yeah. I was worried I had the wrong list. All right, so the museum, the Deadly Exhibit. It was cool. It was creative. Cool visuals, but that was one of those houses that one, it just wasn't that scary, and then two.
Right.
I feel like I ran into this problem this year a lot, where some of the houses I would expect there to be a scare because I'm like, oh, this would be a good spot, and there wasn't. And that was one of those houses. Like, I was just like, oh, they're about. Oh no one's here. Okay. Oh, we're about. No. Oh, okay. Never mind. So it was okay. Then we got
That.
Mayor's Sweet Candy Factory. It was okay. Like, it had some jump scares. Wasn't that scary though. I didn't really care for it. I'm going there to get scared, and I just didn't think it was that scary. It just is what it is.
It was just a candy factory.
Exactly. Then we got Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. That one was cooler. The visuals were a lot better. That one, The scares are a lot better. Like out of the 3 houses, that one's the best one so far. I honestly,
Dude, that one got me.
it didn't. There was one that really got me more than that one, but that one was like a top one. Like that's one that I'll keep going over and over again. Plus,
Yeah,
bro, I don't.
yeah.
I guess besides the weekend house, were your houses like super gory and like graphic? Like our houses, I was just like, whoa. I'm like, that's like kind of scary.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, listen, bro. When I'm in the houses, like, I'm concerned with getting scared, so I'm not like looking at everything in super detail. Like my girlfriend is. She could probably answer that question way better than I can. But
Yeah,
Yeah, I would
Tyler.
say so.
Tyler goes in like this. Ah! Ah! And nothing's happening. Ah! It's so funny. It's so funny.
the employee's just like
Everyone that I go, every time I go with Tyler, and every time I go with a different friend group with Tyler, everyone's like, Tyler makes it so much more fun. Tyler makes it so much more fun because he's just screaming the entire time.
Oh man.
Okay, so then there's Slaughter Cinema 2. I thought it.
Oh, how was
I
that
thought it was
one?
cool. I thought it was creative. I didn't think it was like super scary, but I really enjoyed it. You know what I mean? It was one of those that like I enjoyed. You know what I'm saying?
What's it about? Or like you don't have to go in detail, but like, do you remember anything about it?
It was just like it says scenes from a B movie horror genre.
Oh, that sounds cool.
So
to me. I
that's
feel
what
like
I'm
that's
saying.
something
It
that I
was
would
it was
enjoy.
cool. I enjoyed it because it was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And I want to skip
Yeah.
around. I'm gonna skip around on this list because something that is apparently an unpopular opinion for what I'm about to say is the Ghostbusters house. I didn't think it was that scary. I thought it was cool, but I think it's just because I didn't ever really watch Ghostbusters. Like a lot of it just like went over my head.
Same.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
applies to Insidious. Like I've watched every single Insidious. I love Insidious. So I knew every single reference. I knew everything that was going on in the house. Ghostbusters, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that. Like to me, it's not that scary, but it was cool to
Yeah.
look at. But I didn't enjoy it. Like people were like, oh, it was the best house, or it was like the second best house, and I was like, oh no, I don't really agree with that one. Triplets of Terror. I don't remember this one too much. I know I went on it twice back to back because the park was about to close and we had to pass the entrance to leave. So I was just like, oh, let's just hop back in. So for some reason, I still don't remember that one very much, but it was all right.
Which
The
one?
Triplets of Terror.
Oh,
Yeah. No, you
we
didn't have that one. Yeah, I mean, it was just like a basic kind of horror house. Like I didn't really think anything crazy of it.
yeah.
The
yeah,
Monsters of Latin America. That one was cool. That one was kind of scary. And and like it was like bro, it was like that was one of the houses where I'm like, yo, this is kind of gory. Like for being like a house, I was
Yeah.
like, whoa. So
Yeah.
that one I was really impressed
Yeah.
with because I was also like Monsters of Latin America. I'm like, as a Brazilian, I was just like, I don't see House of North America or America. I didn't. It was only scary if you made noise. So it's like it's either you're gonna be quiet because you're gonna try to fit in because like most houses you're supposed to be quiet in anyways, or you got like an
Yeah.
obnoxious person screaming so they get all the scares and then it just like kind of takes away from the experience. I wish because I feel like it would be better if. I know they're shushing you, and like that's the whole point. Like if you make noise, the monster's gonna come out and get you. But I feel like they should have had jump scares with the purpose of trying to get you to scream. So and then the monster comes. You know what I mean? Like I felt like people should have been like
Yeah.
trying to like
Yeah.
jump at you and be like, oh, like be quiet or something like that, or
Mhm.
make them make a noise and get attacked. So then you're like, oh my god, and then something tries to attack you. You know, I feel like they should have coordinated a little
Yeah,
better.
that could've
So
been
I
cool.
feel like with me having that mindset on that specific house, kind of like made it not as fun for me. I was kind of just like, oh, like. You know, like, because you know how, like, sometimes we were talking, like, the flaw of Halloween Horror Nights is that everyone goes in back to back to back to back to back. There's no gaps, so you can get stuck missing every single scare because of just where you're placed in line. It's just like you could just never get scared if you're just quiet. You know what I mean? If you just stayed in your lane. So I was kind of like, that kind of takes away from it, I feel like. And then Insidious, bro. That one, I don't know what y'all are talking about, having to like touch the walls and not know where y'all are going. I don't know what be going on in Cali after all this Diddy thing. So I don't know if he like had a thing to do with that. But no, we didn't have any of that. We had dark areas. And like, honestly, the one thing that I didn't like about that house is how many I'm just not the biggest fan of going through the doorways that have things that go over you. You know what I mean? Whether it's just like sheets of like little like plastic or like felt or beads, or you know what I mean? Like that type of style of like transitioning to the next room. Like I'm not the biggest fan of, just because one, I feel like I can just like accidentally grab onto it or it'll get stuck and then I just ruin the whole set. But then also it's just like I feel like I'm more distracted on that because now I'm like, oh, let me get through really quick before something tries to jump out at me because, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just not the biggest fan of that specifically. So that I didn't care too much about. Bro, it was a long house. Like, that was the one house that I was like, dude, it is not done. Like, holy crap. I'm like, oh, we're about to finish. And then I'm like, oh, no, there's still a whole other chunk. All that being said, those are like kind of like the only negative things I could say about it. I loved it, bro. I love Insidious. I've seen every single movie of that series multiple times. I understood every single reference. Like the whole time I was like, it's cool for someone that loves it so much and be like, oh, this is from this movie and this is a reference to that and then this is about this character and then this and this. But, bro, that was the only house that got me 3 separate times that I was like, I almost cursed the storm. I was like, like, you know what I mean? Like, that actually got me. Like, so that was my favorite house, and I'm sorry that you didn't have that same exact experience because Orlando's better.
No, it was good. It was. I think what like with me, what happened is that I was hearing so many things about it because I think y'all's opened like 2 weeks before ours, I believe. And so, like, I just heard from some friends down there that, like, it was so crazy, you know. And I was just like, okay. Then you go in with an expectation of, like, dude, if I'm not crawling out of this house, like, you know. So I think I just got my expectations a little bit higher than I should have. But it was still a great house. Like, not to take anything away from it. But.
Yeah, so whatever. Anyways, I was kidding. Yeah, so I guess my top would be... I guess starting from 3 would probably be, I think the Eternal Monsters. I think that one was really cool. I really enjoyed that house. And then my second would be the Monsters of Latin America because, you know, it's my childhood. It scares me. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought it was a good house too. But then, like I said, my top one was definitely Insidious.
Nice. I think I'd go Eternal, Texas Chainsaw, and then Insidious.
We had Texas Chainsaw last year, the year before that, and that was a good house.
Yeah.
And then we also had The Weeknd, and that was just weird.
Yeah, they're just weird, bro. The Texas Chainsaw one though, that you guys had a couple years ago that I went to, it was better than the one this year for sure. Like the one they did at Orlando a couple of years ago was really, really solid. But this one was still really fun. Do they have shows there still? Did you see any show?
They only do the one show that they have. And Delaney and I tried to see it, but I didn't realize that because it was like, oh, it starts at 12:30, right? The last show starts at 12:30. So we got there at like 12:20, 12:25 because we were like, oh, we just, you know, we come here so often that us getting like the best seats didn't really matter because if we liked it, we'll just go again. But they were like not even letting people in anymore, and we were like, "Oh, how early do you have to get here?" And they're like, "Oh, people get here like up to like 45 minutes before the show, just waiting." And I'm like, So I haven't seen it yet because I wasn't planning for that type of activity.
Right. What is it?
Apparently, I don't know. So apparently, the past 4 years, I've never seen them. I've only seen clips of it, just because everyone I always go with doesn't care to watch it for some reason. So
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity to go. But this year we're like, oh, let's go, because we've never seen it. Apparently, the past 4 years it's been like like I guess like a story, like everyone like relates to the other. But I don't know. I don't know much. I heard it's a lot of like humping. So I was like, ugh. Because I guess the first year it was like a bunch of like fire and like things like that. And then I think the second year was a bunch of like dancing. And then last year apparently was like a bunch of like sexual things. And then this year was a little less and like other, I don't know. I could be completely wrong in the order of things. But yeah, every year it's a little different. This is like the 4th year of this specific story. I don't know. Once I watch it, I will give you guys more information. So I'm sorry for butchering that. And honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, because I most likely am. So just let me know. And yeah.
Okay.
I might go on Sunday because Delaney comes back from Michigan. So
True. All right. Well, maybe you can update us. The one thing that I wish Halloween Horror Nights would start to incorporate more in their houses, and I don't know if it's a safety thing or like, because, you know, I feel like they're just super strict in certain ways of like what they do with their houses. But like, for example, when I went over to Fright Fest at Six Flags, like their houses are just so much more interactive, I should say, in the sense of like there's certain parts where like you have to turn sideways and like go through a wall like this, like you're walking sideways, or like you have to duck down underneath something, or, you know, there's like paths that will separate you and your group for a little bit. Like things like that are what make houses that much more fun for me. And I just wish they would find a way to incorporate that more, because sometimes it does feel the same. Like, of course, the scares are, and there's different, like, you know, visuals and stuff, but like it's kind of the same thing. You just keep walking through. There's not really any, you know, sort of like element of surprise there, which I wish they would find a way to incorporate more.
So I don't know why. I agree that I would enjoy that a lot more. I think it's a lot more fun. It makes it, and it also makes going in every time like different. You know what I mean? If the group splits, like you can go the opposite way, see if there's different things. You can turn different ways. I don't know. I think it's cool. I wish they did that. But I also kind of think it's probably because of not everyone can do that. You know what I mean? Like a person in a wheelchair can go through a haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights. So it's like it might be just because it has to cater to everyone and everyone's needs, to say the least. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I feel like it probably has something to do with that, and also liability. Can you imagine if someone gets stuck, if someone freaks out and bumps and hits their head, if they're ducking? You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, big companies like that. Not saying Six Flags isn't a big company or and things like that, but, you know, people be trying to sue for everything, especially
but even
fat
like,
companies like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But even like there's one house at Six Flags where they have their actors on like bungee cords, bro, so they can like jump out at you and like get pulled back. Like, I don't know, even things like that. Or like there was this one house, and I don't know if it's just because we went on a like less busy night, because obviously, you know, Six Flags is not as busy as Halloween Horror Nights is with their Fright Fest thing. But there was some houses where like they would let just our group go in alone, and like, or like at least, okay, we go in, you know, give us 15, 20 seconds and then the next person. So like I get how like that can back up lines, but like I don't know, maybe just like doing something like that and making it a shorter house, because I'm like, then you don't have people in front of you like reacting to the scare, so then you don't know where the scare is, you know? So I don't know. I just wish they would like strategize it and like kind of figure out ways to be all inclusive and figure that out, because, you know, it's like every year, yeah, it's different houses, but like there's not really any new sort of, you know, theatric with the house in terms of like, you know, what I was explaining. So like I would just like to see something new, at least in like one house, right? I'm not saying every house needs to be like this. Like just like test it out with a house, try something different, you know. But it is what
I
it
feel
is.
like they should do a queue. Like,
A queue.
yeah, like, for example, Volcano Bay, what they do is they give you like these little watches, and you can go
Right.
and virtually sit in line. So you tap your watch,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
it'll like tell you a specific time to come back. So then you don't have to wait in line, but you can only do that one ride at a time. So it's like
Right.
you can be in line for one house, you can go through a scare zone, you can go to a roller coaster, you could potentially even wait in another house if the line's short. And then it's like I feel like that would also help Universal just be like, okay, well, we're gonna have these 36 people come in the next 5 minutes, so like let's get ready for that.
Right.
Excuse me.
Right.
Something, but I'm also sure
Yeah.
that they've been doing this for so long that there's a reason they probably don't do that. So
Sure.
we'll see. But we are at
Yeah, who am I?
40 minutes. I do want to update you. I did make it to Michigan. Hurricane was interesting.
Bro, I know all of this. Why are you just kidding? All
I'm
right,
just
go
kidding.
ahead. Dang.
So long story short, for a recap of last episode and then what happened last week, there was a hurricane. Hurricane Helene was coming through. Our prayers go out to all those people affected. Some
Yeah.
way worse than
Yeah,
others.
it got insane.
Even like my family was affected. So we're definitely aware of certain things that are going on out there. So like I said, prayers out to you guys.
Yep.
That being said, I was worried that my flight was going to get canceled because those of you that don't know, my wife was in Michigan for by the time this episode comes out, she'll be back. But she is gone for 2 weeks training in Michigan for her new job. So I want to go visit her. I got off both my jobs, had the flight, everything, and then hurricanes coming. So then there was this whole flights are getting canceled left and right. My flight was at 6:30 in the morning, and it was the day that the hurricane like touched land. So it was like the hurricane touched land, I think at like 9 p.m. or something like that, 8 p.m. and on Thursday. So I was like worried. I was at work. I was like, I had to double pack. Because I had already sent some clothes with my wife since she had a carry-on and I didn't want to pay for one. So I was only gonna go with the backpack. But then everyone's saying that if the hurricane hits, we're gonna have to stay out at my job because I work at a hotel. So it was just things like that where I was like, I had to pack for that in case I got locked and I couldn't leave the hotel. Then I had to pack for the
That's
flight.
kind of cool.
It is. It was.
They would've hooked
It
you
was
guys
so
up.
cool. But it was like I did want to go see my wife, and I did spend like a couple $100 on a ticket. So it was just like
Right.
the inconvenience of it. And then I had to make the decision of like, do I go to the airport because they weren't giving me any updates? I get to the airport at 1. Apparently, fun fact, TSA doesn't open until like 3 or 4 in the morning. So I was just waiting. And then went through TSA, got there. I'm waiting patiently at the gate. It's on time. Bro, luckily, by the grace of God, I was able to go. And the crazy part is that we flew over the hurricane. They're like, the pilot was like, yeah, the storm's starting at 30,000 feet, and we are flying at 35,000 feet. So, we're probably not going to be able to walk around the airplane for the first hour or so because of turbulence, but we should be fine. And then I had stayed up all night because I was working, and then I was stressed about the flight, so I didn't sleep till I got on the plane. So I didn't really deal with the turbulence, but we got there like an hour early. Like a whole hour. Like that's like I've always like I get sometimes I'm like, 20 minutes early, land 10 minutes early. A whole hour. I was supposed to get there at like 9:15. I got there at 8:08.
Bro was trying to beat the all-time record.
Bro, straight up. I was like, did we just get slingshot into the hurricane? So, I guess we got slingshotted. And then we got there. I got there. It was a great time. Had a blast with her and her family. Love them. And then flew back. And then I was supposed to go this weekend again because I got off my restaurant job. But the problem about having 2 jobs is you got to get off both jobs. So I didn't get off the other one. So I'm not going anymore. But it worked out because, like I said, my family also got affected. So I'm actually going to be able to take the nights that I have off and go help out the house because,
Right.
we got to fix some things and they need help. So it worked out exactly how I was supposed to. But yeah, that was just a little weekly update.
How do you feel about a plane arriving super early? Because I'm like,
Simulation?
then it can kind of no, I'm saying like then it can kind of throw off plans because like if you tell your friend, like especially it depends on the time of day, but like if it's like a morning flight or a night flight, like if you're like, hey, I'm gonna land at 10 or whatever, and then you land at 9. I mean, like sometimes you have connections, sometimes you don't. So like maybe you'd be able to like notify them and hopefully they can get there early, but like you could just be stuck at the airport for like an extra hour now because your plane arrived early, super early. Like if it's like 10 minutes or whatever, it's like, oh yay, like, but sometimes I'm like, okay, that would have been nice to know like beforehand.
Yeah. I was, like I said, I was asleep, so I only found out we landed an hour early when I woke up.
Yeah, like if you fall asleep too, it's like you can't send a message.
Yeah, and I was flying Frontier, so I definitely didn't have service. And my butt was numb, bro. I woke up, my butt was asleep. My right leg was numb. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
I had to take an Uber anyways. So for me, it didn't really matter. But if I was waiting for a ride, that definitely would throw it off. The way I view it is, if I'm going to have to wait an hour for my ride anyways, does it suck? Yes. But I'd rather wait in the airport where I can walk around, I can go get food, I can go to the bathroom easier. I don't have to sit in an uncomfortable seat. I can charge my phone. I have service versus being on a potentially uncomfortable flight. Unless you're going to start living off peanuts, you're going to have to spend extra money on getting food if they even have food, So I don't mind it as much, but it is like a super inconvenient thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, if it's going to happen, I'd rather wait at the airport than inside a plane.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I agree with that for sure. But I'm like, I've seen a couple of things recently of like planes landing early. And I'm like, all right, well, if we're getting faster here, let's just, let's cut the flight time down a little bit.
My thing is just like, do I get a refund? Because I thought I was paying for all this gas that you didn't now use. So do I get like $20 back?
Well, technically, if they're going faster, maybe it's, taking out more of the gas.
I don't think so. Because they always...
if you speed, you use more gas.
No, because, bro, think about it. Like, flying to California is shorter than flying to Orlando.
Yeah, but isn't that because of, like, the route?
No, it's because of the wind. The wind's pushing the plane the same way, so then it flies faster in a way.
Okay.
And then when it's going against wind, it has to work a lot harder. That's why I was like, it probably catapulted us because it was probably like blowing right where we were heading. Because it's a hurricane, so it's going outward whichever direction you're going.
Yeah. No. That's crazy, bro. I would have been so scared flying in the middle of a storm.
I literally was just like, if I die, at least I'm going to heaven.
I mean, I guess we never really know, though, because like obviously you knew because you guys were experiencing like a hurricane at the time, but like, if there's something going on like over Texas or wherever when I'm flying to Orlando, like I'm not gonna know about it. The pilot might be like, hey, we might experience some turbulence from some rough weather, but like I don't know exactly what that means. You know what I mean? So like I could have been flown through many of these and like not even know, So it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, because they didn't even say hurricane. They just said the storm.
Well, I think by the time you had flown, it was like kind of past where you were specifically. It started going.
Well, that was the thing.
more.
That's why we couldn't walk for an hour, because it was supposed to be over Georgia at 8:00, which is like right when we were passing Georgia, or just about.
Yeah.
So it's like I think it was more because we were crossing it in our route. It wasn't because it was like right outside, or wasn't right outside anymore.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so that was my update.
Okay.
I'm assuming you have something to talk about
before-
since you've been going through your notebook.
Well, I was just trying to get my thoughts collected over here.
How's that
So
going?
yeah, before we end off, I figured to bring a little Bible insight that I've had this week to the podcast. And this verse is super interesting, and I think it speaks so much to us today, because I feel like, well, let me read the verse first and then I'll kind of get into it. So this is Matthew 20:28, which says, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many." And, I think that in this day and age, especially of social media and of like the idolization of being a celebrity or being somebody that's like an influencer or somebody so big, we get so caught up in ourselves, in our lives, in our ambitions. And like I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. You should care about your life. You should care about your goals and your dreams. But I don't think it should be so much so that you lose sight of, one, God, and two, of like helping others and guiding others and leading others to the Lord, right? Because it's just such the factor of even like thinking about it in the sense of like sometimes we wonder why we don't have certain things. Like, I've been praying for this thing for so long. I've been waiting for this for so long, and I don't see it happening. And it's to the degree of like, why would God give you something if he knows that like where you're at right now, you won't be able to handle it, right? And only he knows that. You don't know that. And sometimes, he will give it to people and, then they won't be able to handle it, and it'll prove their lesson right. It'll prove his lesson right in the sense of like, oh, I gave you this because you wanted it so bad and you couldn't handle it. So now you're back to square one, right? But even like when I was watching George Janko, he had Dave Ramsey on and they were talking about money, and they were just saying like, people think that like getting money will solve all their problems and it'll make them super happy and they'll be able to do whatever they want. And while there is a freedom in that, if you're like a greedy person right now as you sit, like with just the way you live in your day-to-day life, that's only when you get more money, that's only going to be enhanced. So like, why would the Lord give you that if you're not in a position where like your heart isn't in the right place to use that wisely? And that can go for money, that can go for power, that can go for influence, and all that, to get back to the point of like, God came down in human form. And think about the route he could have took, bro. He could have acted like a king. He is a king, but he could have acted like one in the sense of like not being humble, making everybody do what he wants, having them serve him, having them build him a kingdom where he just sat all day and was fed grapes and this and that. But he didn't. He came down. He humbled himself. I mean, even the story of him riding in on a donkey instead of a horse, right? Like, there's so many examples of it. And he ate with the sinners. He ate with the lame to show people that like, that's okay. And we should, because that's who needs us the most. That's who we need to be guiding the most. But he came down here and he served us. And even when he was nailed to the cross, he could have had angels and he could have done whatever he wanted and got himself down from the cross if he wanted to, but he didn't, because, obviously it is written like that needed to be fulfilled. Like he needed to be, crucified on the cross so that he could resurrect 3 days later. But, all that to say, I think it's just, we're in such an era where people live for themselves so much, and I'm guilty of this as well. So this is not passing judgment on anybody. I think it's just something for us all to consider, because if you're only living for yourself and you're not like thinking about others, if you're not thinking and like following a higher power, for me that be Jesus Christ, I feel like you live a very misguided life, and you lack purpose in life, and you can put all your eggs in one basket, whether that be for me acting, whether that be for you music, whether that be for somebody else art. And if certain things don't happen there, like some people, they think their life's over. Like that's all they've ever wanted. But if you put your if you put your trust in the Lord and you follow him, and all these things are other just things you're pursuing, but like you're pursuing him the most, seek the kingdom first, as that, I don't remember the exact scripture, but seek the kingdom and all else will come. Like good things will come. Because it's like if you seek the kingdom first, then the Lord will see the change in your heart, see the change in your mind. And that's when, you can really start to help others. You can really start to lead others, guide others. And that's when like your heart and your mind and your soul will be in a good place, so that when these good things do happen to you, and when you do start to achieve these goals, like you're still not like getting wrapped up. That's not taking you away, right? Like you're still, your main goal is like, okay, I'm here now, but because I have this power or this influence or this money, doesn't mean that I'm going to forget about who I'm really serving and who I'm really living for, right? So, it's just the thing of like, if Jesus Christ came down and literally could have done whatever he wanted, but he chose to serve people, he chose to continue to follow God and pray to God, it's just something that we can all learn from, because he can do anything, and we can do anything through him, only through him. So, I think it's just an encouragement, at least to me and hopefully to others, of like, if Jesus came down and didn't even choose to live for himself, he lived a sinless life, and he had struggles too. He had temptations too, just like us. But he didn't give in. Like, it just shows that like we can also try to live that life and, follow. Like sometimes it's like, even for me, it'll be a struggle to like sometimes read the Bible, or like read as much as I'd like to. And it's like, you can't even give that much, time. And so it's just something that I think to help keep us accountable in a way, So.
Well, that was a lot. Every time you start with one thing and then 36 topics later, we're done. And I'm like, okay, what was the first one?
He said 36 chapters later.
No, I mean, it's all good. Like, I love everything you're saying, but then I'm just like, wait, I was going to say this. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm trying to remember. What did you first say?
Do you want me to read the verse again?
Sure.
So the verse was, and then you can give your thoughts on it. I mean, that's just my,
for sure.
I happen to go on a lot of tangents.
No, I love it. I just wish I need a paper so I can start taking notes of what you say, so then I can go back on it.
Here we go. Matthew 20:28. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many.
Okay.
For us,
Yeah, bro. I mean, I remember. I just remember one thing that I wanted to say. I was like, whenever you, okay, what am I trying to say? The happiest people in the world serve others and live for others. Not in the sense of people pleasing, because that's different. Right. People pleasing is not what we're talking about. We're talking about giving your time, your resources to help others, to encourage others, to be there for others. Like as simple as helping your elderly neighbor cut the grass. You know what I mean? Like, not only are you doing them a favor, but it's rewarding, because you're finally not doing something just for you. Our whole culture and our whole world is all about us. It's all about you. It's all about your little world that you live in, because you're the star of the show and everything's about you. And if it doesn't affect you, it doesn't really matter. Like, that's a selfish way to live, and it's not a fulfilling way to live. you know, and that verse is 100% correct. We're not made to be here and be praised. Like, do we love that? Yeah, who doesn't like being praised in some senses, you know what I mean? Otherwise, we wouldn't have famous people. We wouldn't have people trying to rise to power. We wouldn't have, you know, certain people try to be the best in what they do because they want to be known, you know? But that being said, it's so much more rewarding when you do things for others. And when you take all that glory that you do get and put it and turn it towards God, you know what I mean? Like Tyler was saying with his acting, my music, like we're not, I mean, obviously a little bit we do it because we want to and we love it and we want to do it, but then it's like, but why are we doing it? And it's because God gave us these abilities. God gave us these. Everyone has talents. Everyone has abilities, and everyone has something special about them. That's what makes us all unique. And it's cool to use it, but it's so much better when you don't use it just for yourself, just to enhance your life. And it's crazy, you know what I mean? And then you were saying something about God doesn't put you in situations you can't handle, which is like a half truth because he doesn't give you things that you cannot handle, but you only can handle them through him, which is what the lesson needs to be learned. I can conquer. What is it? I can conquer, or I can. I forget exactly what the way the verse says, but it's I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Oh, that's the verse. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. You know, and it's as simple as that. You can be, you know, like I said, my family got affected by the flood too. By the hurricane too. And it's like, you know, not saying it's because we have God, but like there were neighbors that got way worse than my family, and then others that got it way better than my family. You know what I mean? But I also know that God's looking over my mom's house. God's looking over my family's house. Like it's just one of those things that any situation can be negative, but if you look towards it through God's eyes, there's always a silver lining. There's always a greater purpose. There's always a reason for it. And and you'll never really understand it. Not never, but you'll usually not understand it in the moment until after you learned your lesson. Whatever that lesson may be. And then what was the last thing you were talking about?
I think I just ended off on like, you know, how we can all learn that like from Jesus that he could have came here and done literally, he could have reigned over and did anything he wanted. He could have done made himself, you know, the highest king of all kings, which he is, but like he came very humbled. And that's something we can learn in the sense of like when we achieve these certain things, like remember who is above you, because if you think, oh, I've achieved this status, I'm the ish now, like I'm top dog, I'm going to treat people this way because I'm like, you know, when you start to idolize your position of where you're at and your number one isn't God anymore, that's when you start to lose sight and lose track and lose focus.
Yeah. Jesus was a demonstration of everything that we're not. I was having this conversation with my mom this week because I was reading Psalms, and a verse stuck out to me because God was talking to David, and he was like, as of today or as of right now, I am your father. We are not born God's children. We're born out of sin. We're born of this world. We're born with sinful natures. You don't have to teach a kid how to do bad things. He knows how to do. She knows. He knows. They know how to do bad things. It's natural. You have to teach your kid how to do good things because it's not natural. Correct? Jesus wasn't selfish. What is everyone's problem today? We're selfish. Jesus did not want to be praised. He didn't want all the glory and fame. That's what most people want nowadays. You know what I mean? He teaches us and is the only perfect example of what living a godly life, living for God, and not living by the flesh, not living for what our own inner nature is telling us to do. And you will never be able to be like Jesus, ever. But that being said, because going back to what I was saying, like, we're not all born God's children. But once you accept him into your heart, it's like an adoption. God's willing to adopt everyone. Everyone. You got to be willing to be adopted. And you got to make the decision to be adopted. And I think that's crazy because I was thinking about it and I was like, that's insane how I was thinking about you. I was like, if you died last year, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think of it. I was like, he's not like God's child. So it's like, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? But now it's like all of a sudden, if you die tomorrow, will I be sad? Absolutely. But I'm not going to be worried. You know what I mean? And it's just like little decisions like that make such a big difference on eternity and your whole life and your whole lifestyle and your whole outlook on life. And it's just insane. I actually kind of forgot where I was going with all that. But yeah, it's incredible how he was able to look sin and temptation in the face and be like, no. Like, how often do you or me or any one of us be like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And then we do it like 5 minutes later. Or I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to, and then you go and say it. Or I'm not going to be this way and you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just because it's our nature. And it's crazy that he was so selfless that he didn't want to be king. He didn't want to be fed grapes. He didn't want to, and it's almost impossible for us to get in that sense, I feel like. But that's what we strive to do. That's what we strive to become. We strive to be like Jesus because we don't want to be, it's not about us. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about the person watching. It's about the kingdom come. Like that, we're supposed to spread the good news. And I don't know. It's a lot. But
yeah,
it was just something I was thinking about this week.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, even just to end off on like the point where you were saying about how, like, you know, with me, and you were saying like, yeah, I'd be sad if you passed away now, but like there would be that silver lining there because you're like, I have confidence, I have faith that I know he is actually in a better place now because his heart and his mind was seeking the Lord, right? Versus like as before, I wasn't. So like, you know, whether you think that's like hell or wherever that is, the lake of fire, you know, I think that that's such a huge thing that I've come to start to realize because it's like, even when, if you know that somebody is seeking the Lord and fully believes in Jesus and that they are going to heaven, and I like, think of how much that helps you with suffering, how much Jesus will help you with that suffering, because yes, it still would be super sad to lose somebody. It's always a tragedy. And it's not, I'm not saying by any means that like it's happy and you know, you should be, you know, having a smile on your face when somebody passes away. No, but like you feel the feelings, you grieve the sadness of it, but then you realize that like, hey man, they're with God now, right? And I can't remember the exact verse, but I believe it was Paul when he was saying that like it will be his greatest day will be like the day where like he gets to meet Jesus, because it's like, yes, there's so much to live for here on this earth, and we should be here, and we're here to spread the word, and we're here to, you know, in different areas, you know what I mean? Of, like you said, everybody has their talents where they can bring the glory to God too. But you know, the goal ultimately, you know, not the goal, but like we do this to have a relationship with Christ, but also like to spend eternity with him, right? You know, we want to be there. We want to meet him. We want to share our experiences with him or however that goes. But, you know, it's just, there will be that silver lining there for people that you spread the good news to, or that, you know, have heard the good news and chose to follow it because they're in a better place now. They're in the place where we've read about and we've heard about and we believed about, and now that's where they are. So it does bring that sense of peace to you, right? Because if you didn't believe that, then you're like, I don't know. Maybe it went to black. Maybe they got reborn, but like, I'll never know them again. Like, depending on your different beliefs, you don't know. There's a sense of, I don't know. But if you truly follow the Lord and you truly believe in what he says and truly believe in heaven, then there's a sense of like, I don't have to worry. Yes, I'm sad. Yes, I'm sad I won't get to make experiences with this person anymore. And I'm sad I won't be able to talk to them and hear their voice and be with them. But I will be one day. I will be with them again one day. And they're in a place right now that I can't even humanly imagine, right? So, yeah, I think that's a good way to end off the pod.
Yeah?
Think we're at like an hour and 75 minutes.
Yeah, hour
so.
10, just about. With all the commercial
cool.
breaks.
That's
and,
good. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoyed the chat. If you went to Halloween Horror Nights this year, or if you plan on going, let us know. We'd love to maybe, give you recommendations. I know you just heard about our favorite houses, but we'd love to hear your experiences too. So let us know. And yeah, we appreciate all the views we've been getting. We've been steadily increasing. So to everybody who's watching, if you made it this far in the video, we really appreciate it. We hope that you will share this with others, our podcast, so that we can, reach more people and, just continue to have fun conversations and spread the word.
Also, no one commented waffle under our last video because I said if you made it this far, comment waffle. So I'm just going to start saying that every episode until someone starts commenting waffle, because that means they listen to the whole thing. So let me know if you made it this far.
First one to comment waffle, Gabe will buy them Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that works.
But only one meal. You can't get the
A
whole
meal?
meal
I was thinking like
nugs
one
and-
Chick-fil-A nug. No, I'm just kidding. I'll buy, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll send you some Chick-fil-A points that I can spare. I got you.
I'm going to comment on this.
Watch, right? But, all right. Thank you again for listening. Hope you enjoyed everything. Let us know about our coffee reviews. Let us know about Halloween Horror Nights. Let us know why. Let me know why I got there an hour early to Michigan, and then let us know what you think of this chapter, this verse that opened up so many different conversations. If you have examples of maybe when this applied to you, or when you saw this, verse play out. Like we like hearing that type of stuff too. Just like we love hearing how God works and like in other people's lives. You know what I mean? Because it's so easy to only get caught up with what you've seen and what you've heard and what you've learned. So, yeah. Anyways, peace.
We'll see you in the next one. See ya.